This is your Monex Metals Market Update with Mike Maroney.
Good afternoon. It's Monday, August 7th. My name is Mike Maroney. I am coming to you today from the Monex Precious Metals Studio. Let's do our week in preview. Like we've figured in the past, before we can preview what is potentially about to happen, we do need to go back and talk about what just happened to set the stage. If you look at the precious metals, silver was trading all the way up to $16.90, and we had gold trading upwards of $12.80, and platinum and palladium were both vacillating in a fairly tight range. And then what happened on Friday is the jobs number came out. And interestingly enough, it was a little bit over 200,000, but it was well received because the thought was that if that number was at least 200 plus, then the inevitable QT, otherwise known as quantitative tightening, would potentially begin in September. And the probability of an interest rate hike before the end of this year actually increased. Now, all of that basically supported the dollar, which had fallen into the proverbial abyss after trading as high as 103.50 in the beginning of the year and trading as low as 92.70 just last week. But the dollar bounced back up on that news. We pressed upwards of 93. Both silver and gold sold off big. Silver had a very high standard deviation as far as Friday was concerned. We traded it all the way down to about 16.10, and we're currently trading right around that 16.20, 16.21 area. Gold right now is trying to hold support, which sits at 12.62, but let's see what happens. Now, what are the big events sitting out on the horizon? What we have coming, obviously, is the big one, and that's the debt ceiling. How will Washington figure this thing out, and will they have a solution, or will they continue to do what they've been doing, which is basically nothing? But the longer that presses forward without any sort of solution, the potential for the dollar to dip below last week's low still exists. Now, the stock market, which is, when you look at any investment, you always look at the alternative choices that exist. And the stock market, in many people's eyes, is trading at a fairly high level. Now, I have no idea if we're at the highs or we still have another 10 or 20% to go. But I do know that historic valuations, as far as the total value of all the stocks listed in the United States in comparison to GDP over the last 100 plus years, has averaged about 67%. Now, interestingly enough, we actually traded down to a 56% value to GDP in the US stock market back in 2009, and now we're trading at about 140%. We only had one other time higher, and that was back in 2000. We traded upwards of 167%. Now, what does that mean for metals? What happens typically in the stock market as it peaks? We see what is known as sector rotation. And precious metals seem to be the benefactor of a situation where the stock market looks like it's going into a corrective phase or potentially about to roll over. It's not unusual to see more money come into the precious metals market. But I think the trick to really doing well in the metals is to try to take advantage of this before everyone else starts to do it based on a change in valuation as far as stocks. If you're an investor, you're doing well in the stock market, congratulations. Obviously, stay in that market. But if you have a few issues or a few stocks that might not be performing, if you are looking to rotate some of that money into undervalued assets, I think right now precious metals fit the bill. I think we've got real problems out on the horizon as far as sovereign debt is concerned, as far as pension debt is concerned, as far as the world banking situation is concerned. But what we're looking at right now is a market that has given a lot of the positive wealth effect to people here in the United States. So now may be one of the greatest times to diversify into precious metals. With all of the debt situations and all of the other issues sitting out on the horizon, precious metals will once again shine. So the best time to buy them is when they trade low, and then look out a few years and you'll probably be able to sell them high. Give us a call here at Monex so we can talk to you about this incredible opportunity based on where we sit today. Thank you.